I want you to know, Amy and I are so excited about this event, and particularly this topic, claiming your brilliance and stepping into, your passion, your purpose is actually something that's in the forefront of all of our minds and our hearts. From the moment that we have a consciousness of self, we want to know who we are, what our relationship is to the world. And so Amy and I have actually handpicked both Mel Mason and Zarina Dimitrova to be here today to speak about this topic. So having said that, please, turn off all your other distractions, your telephone, all your phones, get rid of all those other tabs. Take out a pencil and paper, maybe. You might want to take some notes, but be present with us here and now, because each of us is coming here fully turned on for you. For you. We are here to share what we have both experienced ourselves personally and with our clients. So this time is invaluable. Take advantage of every moment of it. So having said that, I think it's a wonderful time for us to learn about why each one of us is here. And so, Amy, I'm going to ask you to jump in and start us off.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. As Marcy brought us in with that beautiful introduction, and this idea of claiming your brilliance and living shining bright and really just showing up like fully as the beautiful woman you are. God, it's just so amazing. And it's so it really creates a transformation for women. And I'm Amy Shade. I am a women's empowerment coach. I support women in reconnecting them with their passions, releasing old stories that are keeping them stuck, and really redefining themselves, awakening their confidence. And so they can just like walk out in this badass, unstoppable life. And not just think it, but feel it also, like feel it in your body, which is also, I'm the creator of the Radical Embodiment Method, which is it's about taking your thoughts and embodying and taking your values, embodying them. It's connecting your mind and body instead of living just by mind only. And so Marcy and I are very passionate about supporting women. We are passionate about our monthly live. This is a monthly live, by the way. It is something we do every month for our communities and for people to enter into our communities so that we can build together this being brilliant and being shiny and being bright. With that, I do want to introduce Mel and have her talk about her expertise and really say hello to all of us.
Yeah, thanks so much for that, Amy. Thank you for the invite, Marcy. Such an honor to be here with all of you. Great to see all of you in the audience. I am Mel Mason, known as the Clutter Expert, and this topic couldn't be more in alignment for me about claiming the brilliance within you, because I'm ultimately about clearing the clutter on the inside so that you can experience your birthright, which is to be happy and abundant in every area of your life. So it's just another way of saying claiming the brilliance within you, because my definition of clutter is anything that gets in the way of you accessing your birthright. Most people, when they hear the word clutter, they think of all the piles accumulating or the drawers overflowing or the garage you can't park your car in. What people don't really understand is that's just a symptom. It's an external manifestation of an internal condition. And so what we're doing here together today is so in alignment with what I teach my clients. And I'm just honored to be here with you. You'll learn more about me as we go through the questions. So I will turn it back to Amy to introduce our next guest.
All right, so Zarina, why don't you unmute yourself and I know you're in Bulgaria right now, so that's very exciting. Yeah, so tell us about yourself and your work.
Hi, everyone. First of all, thanks a lot, Marcy, for inviting me. Thanks, Amy, for having me on your show. And I'm very glad to meet Mel as well. And thank you for everybody who's joined today. I've been in consulting in coaching for about 4 to 5 years now, and before that I was just I I'd like to call it a simple corporate girl. I was in group strategy in telecommunications. I had done my MBA and I thought I had the world ahead of me. I had to climb the corporate ladder, reach highs and so on. But at some point, things turned around for me. And this wasn't a coincidence. So it seemed like a consequence of events that followed that led me to this path. But it was actually, I think, God-given. It was providence in a way, because I wasn't on my purpose completely. And for me, purpose, this I came to understand after having taught or having been teaching purpose and starting a business with meaning and finding meaning in life and purpose in life, finding your happiness, basically. So I found this out later on, that to be on your purpose, all areas of your life need to make you happy. So it's not just the career, it's not just anything you do, it's not simply the thing you do, it's the way you live, it's the way you refer to anything in your life. And this is when I started my business, Healnlearn, healnlearn.com, where I host different experts to talk on well-being, on spirituality. And I didn't expect actually to start teaching courses myself, but in order to promote my business, I actually had to jump in, and I'll tell you more about it later on with when we go further in the questions. So I teach finding your purpose. I usually specifically use the silver method of mind control for manifestation and other things. I'll tell you more.
All right. Well, Marcy's next, right? Are you going?
Yeah, Marcy's next, right? Yeah, I was supposed to talk to Marcy now. It's my first time, forgive me. But Marcy, the heart shift coach.
No worries. Yeah, thank you so much. And we're excited to hear more about each of you. But I'm Marcy Newman, the heart shift coach, actually the only heart shift coach. And I'm here actually so incredibly honored to be with each and every one of you. I'm in this field nearly 50 years now, doing this work, which seems incredible to me. But one thing that you're going to hear about from me and from everyone else here is that this is a journey. And so everything that you experience here is really to give yourself permission to let things unfold, but also to claim what's in you. And for me, as I said, that started many years ago. And one thing that was so apparent to me very early on and has unfolded in my work with people all around the world is that, from my perspective, the key to everything is self-love. And so as we really truly begin to accept ourselves as these incredible divine beings of light that we are, and as we step into and claim that brilliance, we get to experience everything that we have been yearning to experience all along. It's almost as if the universe just lays itself at our feet. And so as we go on, also, I'd like to share more about that with you and my experiences and those who I've worked with. And I just want you to know that this is going to be a very transformational time for you today. So again, I want to reiterate, be here now. Please, everyone who has come in just the past minute or so, again, I want to welcome you, but also to invite you to please turn your microphones off. Please keep them off so there are no distractions. If your camera is on, you will be part of this recording. And so you are authorizing us to include you. So if you want your camera off, please turn that off now. And I just want to turn this over to Amy, and let's dive in here, because I know everyone here is waiting to hear from every single person what they've come here to share.
Yes, I'm ready to jump in. Beautiful. Welcome everybody who just joined us. So I'm going to ask you, Mel, as the clutter expert, would you say you are dealing with more clutter physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually in your life? Oh, got to unmute yourself, Mel.
I absolutely love this question, Amy. Thank you so much for that. Ultimately, as the clutter expert, what sets me apart from an organizer is I don't actually address people's stuff. People automatically think about the physical clutter, and when they hear the clutter expert, and they're like, oh, the drawer's overflowing, the garage, I can't park my car, and they automatically think physical stuff. But ultimately, the outside is only a mirror of the inside. And what I like to say is that it's the inner clutter that starts to manifest outside. So it's all the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual clutter that we accumulate. And, as I didn't get the name clutter expert by accident, I was actually the cluttered, messy kid. You couldn't walk in my room. My entire floor was covered with stuff. And I didn't realize it at the time that the outside is only a mirror of the inside, because I had experienced a ton of trauma already at such an early age that I had all this inner clutter that had accumulated, which was repressed emotions, resentments, fears, limiting beliefs, judgments, all of that stuff accumulated. And I experienced all the trauma that I experienced wound up sending me to live in a residential treatment center for adolescents after I had lost my older brother to suicide. And while I was living there, I was introduced to yoga and mindfulness. And ultimately, what I learned through that practice was how to get present and come home in my body and deal with that inner clutter. And as someone who was a cluttered, messy kid, I wasn't looking to get organized or like my clients coming to me asking for help. But what happened as a result of me learning to be present for all of that inner clutter was I spontaneously started to create order in my environment. And I went from that cluttered, messy kid to someone who loves to create order out of chaos. And that really just set me on a mission to want to share my experience with others and help others transform their lives and get through the clutter so that it doesn't keep coming back. But the great part about what I share in being the clutter expert is there's more than one manifestation of clutter. It shows up as physical clutter in the environment. Maybe you're carrying excess weight on your body, struggling with addiction, in toxic relationships, surrounded by mounting debt. Maybe you're too busy and don't have enough time in your schedule. So when you actually start dealing with the root, the emotional, the mental, and all of that inner clutter, every area of your life starts to get better. That's why it's your birthright to experience happiness and abundance in every area of your life. And that's why clutter is anything that gets in the way of it. Now, I would like to ask Zarina the next question, because she's up next. Is purpose something that is predetermined for everyone?
Well, thanks, Mel, for these questions. For this question, I get this question a lot, actually. People always think that it's something that was written in the stars for them, and they go to astrologers, and I'm sure you have done so too, and I have done it myself, gone to astrologers, gone to tarot readers, anybody who can tap in this consciousness that records our emotions, our energies, and can give you some information of what you're supposed to do. And it has a lot to do with the clutter as well, because we're not able to see clearly ourselves because of this clutter. We are not able to see where we're heading. So I get this question a lot. Am I supposed to go to a channeler to tell me what to do? How do I find that? Do I need to do a past life regression? And I personally believe that the answer is no. It can give you a clue. So I have been diving a lot in energy work and in quantum philosophy, and I know that everything that you have in terms of energy expression is recorded somewhere. And yes, maybe a part of it is from a past life. So we can say, to a large extent, there is a record there of what is your best path, but it is by no means definitive of what you're supposed to do. It can change in any time. For me, the most important thing is actually the inspiration that you have about something, because then you can acquire your talents, you can develop talents that you don't have and that you need to have to follow this purpose. Because very often we see people with so many talents and they don't do anything with them. Or I myself have asked myself the question, I can do so many things. Seriously, I have the feeling that I'm full of talent, and yet that was at some point after I finished with my corporate career. So much talent, and what do I do with it? I have no clue where to head to. And so there are two sub-questions basically to this. Is it predetermined? One, I believe, is, do we have full free will? Which I believe we do. Because if I have to give you an example of the nadi leaves in India that you probably have heard of, where people go to read their destiny. I have heard of women, I have been in contact with somebody who told me they had had their nadi leaves read and it had nothing to do with what their life has been. Or people report of these nadi leaves, what was written, the Akashic records, changing over time. So even these expressions in the physical world tell you that you can change your fate. And yes, talents are important. They're not given to you in vain. Of course, you're supposed to use them. So when I do my coaching, I usually, one of the tools that we use is to find these talents. So I forgot exactly what the question was, but was it predetermined? My opinion is that if you want something, your desire, your inspiration is more important than the predetermination. And now I'm going to move on asking a question, asking Marcy a question. So Marcy, your work focuses on self-love. What is self-love to you? And why have you devoted that many years, decades in self-love, teaching people these principles?
Oh God, what a great question. And first off, I have to say, we teach what we need to learn. Every single one of us, we are teaching what we need to learn. So everybody listening, we're with you. Okay. So the fact that I've been learning this for decades tells you, okay, there came this time in my life where I realized that all the suffering that I was experiencing, all of the lack of self-confidence, my feeling of actually being disconnected from the world and from people around me came from the fact that I was disconnected from me. It was all an extension of me. And so what self-love, and by the way, the definition has evolved for me, okay? And it's going to evolve for you, but I see self-love as the process, the journey of cultivating the courage to be authentic, to take action. Self-love is all about action. You cannot sit back and talk self-love, okay? Because self-love demands, and I know that that might be like a harsh word, but it's the truth. Self-love, actual self-love demands that you take alignment, that you take action that's going to align you with a higher version of yourself, always, 100% of the time. And I know a lot of people talk about self-care and self-love in the same sentence, but they're not the same. Self-care is actually a completely different vibrational frequency. The energy of it is one that soothes you, it comforts you, it takes care of you, it nurtures you. Self-love, it calls you to the stage. It calls you to the stage of your life. And it says, come here, I want to show you about you. And let's face it, we've all been conditioned, programmed to be more in hiding than we have to be out into the world as true, authentic people. We're so afraid of being judged, abandoned, criticized, all of that. And so what self-love is, takes you right out of your comfort zone. And it takes you into a world where you will constantly be offered these opportunities by your higher self to step up your game, to be out. And it's what we're all talking about. It's like, this is it. This is how we connect with what our true passion is. It's how we find our purpose, and we determine how we're going to deliver it. So when we're in this space of really taking on this journey of being so determined that we are going to be that greater version, the universe, as I said before, it's going to lay itself at your feet and say, okay, well, how about this?